Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bias with a Little Truth. No D-Cot here today. It is actually me and Reggie here today. So it's me and Reggie, King of the Troll Sykes, as Daryl likes to call him, or as I've been calling you guys the last couple weeks, Daryl Bayless and Reggie A. Smith. It's going to be a good show today. We got a lot to cover. It's going to be a celebration of the Big Ten, I assume, with the show today. But we're going to have a good show for you guys today. It should be an enjoyable one. We're going to talk all things Big Ten. I see Reggie's got that Colts hat on, so we'll address what I said about the Colts on Sunday's episode as well. Reggie, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great today, man. I say I'm glad to have you. We don't have the dummy, the fake astronaut, the fake vegan on the show today. So it should be an excellent show because we actually know sports. I mean, you don't know basketball.
Yeah.
You don't know basketball because you know Lakers.
Wow.
But hey, you're a young guy. I'm going to give you a pass.
Okay.
So yeah, it is what it is.
Well, I'm grateful you're going to give me a pass on that one. But look, just because I love my Lakers doesn't mean I know hoops. And we're going to get into some hoops today as well. We're going to look at the standings and we'll talk about that a little bit. But Reggie, we'll start off with what's the hottest topic right now, and that is the Big Ten Conference dominating college sports, dominating the transfer portal and the NIL era of college sports. Michigan taking home the national championship last night. Now, I admit, before we got to Final Four weekend, I thought Arizona and UConn was going to be our matchup, but I wouldn't have been shocked if Michigan won. And with the way Michigan put a beating on Arizona,
I don't recall you saying that. I do not recall you saying that, but I'm going to give you a pass on that one, okay?
When Michigan put a beating on Arizona, I said Sunday on our show, I said, man, I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan does the same to UConn and comes away with the title. But I still picked UConn, so I was still wrong, but I wasn't shocked with how well Michigan played, and credit to those guys. I mean, they played a hell of a game. And UConn, I mean, they stayed in it. But Michigan held control for most of the game.
Yes, they did. They did. Michigan, man, I tell you, Michigan, you're gonna cut the theme music off, and you're gonna send a shout out. Send a shout out to the sponsors.
I
gotta take care of the sponsors. We gotta take care of the sponsors, man.
I want to give a big thank you to Matt Gaddis at State Farm, of course, for supporting the Game Time Network. Another big thank you to Wire to the Nines, and then also Big Z Sports Grill. If you need any good food or good beer, make sure to head over to Big Z's. We just got done with our event on Saturday night at Big Z's. We'll talk about more of that, though, at the end of the show. Reggie, I'll give you the floor to go over the national title.
Look, man, it was a great game. I was a little worried at first because either team's shots wasn't falling all that great. But I'm going to tell you, the tale of the tape, it's been said since before you were born. You probably never heard this term. Defenses win championships. And they usually use that term in football, but it's also true in basketball. If it wasn't for Michigan's defense, Connecticut would have won that game. Their defense, their bigs, I mean, I thought I heard an announcer said they have a small forward that's 6'8", 6'9". Then you have another power forward that's 6'9", and you have a center that's 7 foot.
Yeah.
They really pushed those guys out farther. I heard their announcer even said, I was like, golly, they're shooting those threes really deep. They were shooting those threes super deep. So I think that's the tale of the tape. I think the reason that they won was because of their defense.
Yeah. No, I mean, I watched the game. I was also at work, so I was kind of in and out, but then I got home for the second half, and I would agree. Honestly, I think both teams played well defensively. And I think UConn, they were better in the second half, but I think overall, I think both offenses really weren't the reason why either of these teams played well or why Michigan won. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Michigan in their defense was the reason that they won this game, but I think it was also the reason UConn stayed in the game as well and almost came back there towards the end.
So I always mispronounce his name. The guard that's from Greenfield for Connecticut, that's from Indiana.
Mullins.
Yes. He was actually rebounding and moving very athletically to me that game. I was impressed with him because I thought he was going to be a liability. But he showed you he had another gear last night. And you know, I've said it before. Everybody knows. I'm not a Hurley fan. But I had to give props where props are due.
Yeah.
He's a good coach.
Okay.
Good coach.
Okay.
But I have to give him some props, though.
Yeah.
He went over there and he talked to Dusty May and he really congratulated him and everything. And he was humble in his loss. Unlike his predecessor, unlike Gino, the guy he propped up, I really wasn't expecting that out of Hurley. So I had to give props when props are due, and he deserved props on that. I just think the game, I was excited about the game, but the first half there were a lot of missed shots. A lot of threes wasn't falling even from Michigan. But I thought, what is his name? Johnson on the boards. Those two putbacks on the board. He won in the first quarter, and I think he had one in the second quarter. Those putbacks were great. He was very aggressive on the boards. I think Reed had like 14 rebounds, but he had 10. And I think those 10 rebounds were really crucial to Michigan winning. Now everybody knows I'm a Big Ten guy. You know, there's a short guy on our Game Time Network. I'm not going to say his name. He made a comment. I made a post. I made a post to Big Ten rules because I went to college down south with SEC guys, and they all talk a lot of trash. Yeah, and I just wanted to point out that I'm deviating from the true course of reckoning. I'm deviating from talking about Michigan and Connecticut right now.
Oh, you're all good. We're good.
The Big Ten rules. Yeah. Not only did they win in women's basketball, and people are going to say, well, UCLA just got in the conference. Yeah, they did, but they part of the Big Ten.
It counts. No, it counts.
IU football, national champions. I didn't think I would ever live to say that.
Yep.
Michigan men's basketball champs. Okay. I really wanted to see Michigan and Illinois, and I really don't like those teams. I don't like them. They're in the Big Ten with Purdue and IU. I really don't like them. But I'm a Big Ten SWAC person, and I think Ramon pointed out to me that the Big Ten also won in soccer.
They won a lot. They won in multiple other sports this year. Yeah.
So you see what happens when everybody can pay. The SEC's been paying for years. You see what happens.
I think it does go to show how NIL, the transfer portal, it's made everything more competitive. And it isn't just a 2-conference race or a 3-conference race. It really is. I mean, I think it is more down to the Big Ten and the SEC now. I think that's the only difference. But I think it has made the Big Ten, it is the conference right now. I don't think that's really a question. When you're winning football the last 3 years, you finally got your first national championship in basketball in 26 years. It's a changing of the guard. The Big Ten is the more superior conference. And sure, people will say, well, let's talk about it over the course of a 10-year span. That's fine, but we're not talking about over the course of a 10-year span. Yes. We're talking about the here and the now, and more specifically, we're talking about the NIL era. We're talking about the transfer portal era. And in this era of college sports, the Big Ten is king. Let's just call it like it is. And that's not to say that the SEC isn't a strong conference or isn't a great conference. We know how great the SEC is. But right now, in college football, in college basketball, I'll say, here's what I'll say. In college basketball, yes, they're the kings of the conference. In college basketball, okay, you've got one. You got UCLA got one this year, and Michigan got one this year. For this year, right now, here's the crown. In football, you've had the crown, so I'll give it to you. But all around college sports, yes, I give it to the Big Ten. But college basketball, man, it could be completely different next year, and a team from the Big East could win it. A team from the SEC could win it. College basketball, it's harder to keep your grasp on it just because you never know in March Madness, right? I will admit, even with the women's game, with Dawn Staley and her dominance as a coach, I thought South Carolina was going to win it no problem because, what evidence do I have not to go off that, So, I'm happy to be wrong.
Let me clear up a few things for you.
Go ahead.
Michigan had 5 transfers in. Their starting 5 were 5 transfers, okay?
Yeah.
Dawn Staley has lost 2 years in the championship game. She has a really young squad. They lost to a veteran UCLA squad. So I still think veterans will tend to beat younger players, even though your younger players would tend to go higher up in the draft, and people always say we see more upside. There are some older players that will perform in women's basketball and men's basketball.
Yeah.
Next, I'm going to say this. I'm bringing in another little topic. I know we're very deviating from UConn, Michigan. So I've heard a lot of people say that the mid-majors are done because if you have a good year, all your players are going to leave. And it happened to Indiana State and it happened to other few schools, and they go to bigger schools.
Yeah.
But I still think mid-majors can play a role because players that don't get recruited by the big Power 5 conferences, they're going to go to these mid-major schools, and they're going to hold a grudge. Kirk Cincinnati, James Madison. Look at all the players that he brought over to IU from James Madison. So when you see a coach move, not only in basketball or football or other sports, those players will probably follow that coach if they're stepping up to a bigger conference and if they can get paid. So I'm still going to say that some mid-majors have their alumni to help them keep their funds up. I'm still going to say that some young players, they have somebody said they're too small or they didn't jump high enough, are going to go to these mid-major programs in football and in basketball, and they're going to perform, and they're going to have somewhat of a loyalty to that school because that school believed in them, and they're going to still be. Now, I'm not saying all mid-majors. You know, back in the day, you may have 5 or 6 mid-majors in March Madness, and they may advance, you know, to Sweet 16. Maybe not 5 or 6, but maybe 1 or 2 or 3, you know. I'll still say we're going to still have a chance for mid-majors to perform before they lose their players. And I'm just going to put it on that. And don't be surprised if players go, the guard for Michigan. He started off in North Carolina, correct? Then he transferred over to Michigan, right?
No, yeah.
The center for Michigan, he left UCLA and came over to Michigan. Don't be surprised if players come up and they get knocked or whatever, and they go back down to a mid-major program.
And I think personally, you know, people were talking about this on social media. I'm fine with seeing the one school take on the number 2 school in the Elite Eight, or you know, instead of, you know, a mid-major that could possibly get blown out by the number 1 seed in that bracket. You know, I'd rather see, you know, the top teams play in the Elite Eight than, you know, all these upsets happen, you know, and that's how I felt. That's how I felt for a couple years. I'd rather see the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the UConns, the North Carolinas, the Purdues. Like, I'd rather see these top schools get to the Elite Eight in the Final Four than we've got these Cinderella stories going on where, you know, a blowout could happen any time of the week. Now, that's not saying I don't enjoy them, but when the favorites of the tournament are continually getting knocked out, for me, it's just kind of, you know, I'm like, it's cool, but it's not, you know, it's not what I want to particularly see. But that's just,
I like the underdogs.
It's a personal preference. I like certain underdogs, but
I want to see Butler back to back in the playing for the national championship.
I wouldn't view Butler in this age as an underdog anymore because of they're an established program at this point. But I'm saying like the Loyola Chicagos, the UMBCs, those type of Cinderellas. Okay. It's those type of runs that I'm okay with, but you know, there was a point where a couple of years ago, before the NIL era, we were seeing a lot of these top programs get knocked off, and then the teams that would knock them off would get blown out in the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16, and then we've got this random Final Four of Virginia and this team, and it's like, you know, it's like we didn't get the best of the best, but we also didn't get our Cinderella stories to the Final Four. Now we've got this conglomerate of like, you know, it's not the teams we expected or wanted or rooting for as an underdog either. We were in like this weird middle ground of teams that I don't think anyone really cared for. So I like now that we're on the opposite side of the pendulum where it's the best teams in the country, and that's fine with me. I think the Final Four this weekend was great because I didn't see Michigan coming out and beating up Arizona like that. I thought it was going to be a tight game. I thought the first game would have been a blowout, if anything.
Well, I called it. I had said Michigan a long time ago. I didn't want to say Michigan because I'm not a Michigan fan, but I am a Big Ten fan. Yeah. I'm not a Big Ten fan. And well, I'm a Big Ten fan. Let me take that back. But I had called Michigan. I didn't want to say their names. But when Durrell was making me pick 4 teams, Michigan was one of the teams I had in there. And I had Florida in there, and I think I had Houston in there. And I think I had Purdue in there. So, or Arizona. I don't remember. Top 8 or something like that. But I wasn't surprised to see Michigan beat Arizona. Yeah. I was surprised because I thought Illinois' size could probably hang with UConn a little bit better. I was surprised that Illinois didn't beat UConn, but UConn's a great team. Hurley's a good coach. I don't like him, but he's a good coach, and I give him his props. You know, I think Durrell has said in the past, or was it Ramon, that some coaches have that it factor where they're arrogant. Well, not maybe arrogant, but they're the guy, and they know how to get the best out of their players, and they're not there to make friends. So maybe Hurley's in that type of category.
No, I like Dan Hurley. I know a lot of people give him flack, and I know a lot of people don't like him. I've always been I've always liked Dan Hurley. You know, I never, you know, there's some people there's some Laker fans that are like, you know, that don't like him because he didn't take the Laker job. But I'm like, you know, it worked out on both sides. Reddick's been a good coach so far in his 2 years there. Hurley's obviously still continuing to see success at UConn. I think it was best for both sides. It was a win-win because I didn't think he would translate into the NBA anyway. So it all works out. What are your thoughts on Mike Malone going to North Carolina?
That's what I was about to hit on.
Awesome.
Believe it.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on that? I'll let you go and then I'll give my thoughts.
Oh man, I don't know if Mike Malone. I don't know if any NBA coaches go back to college, but when you go back to college, you're dealing with young men. You have to kind of cater to their attitudes. But Mike Malone has an NBA championship, so he should be able to talk to, you know, some kids and some kids' parents and some kids, let's say, agents don't want you to talk bad to the kids. And I'm not talking bad to the kids. I mean, they don't want you to coach their kids.
Yeah.
You have to coach. You can't be scared of the players. You know, they say Pop used to go off on David Robinson and the big fundamental.
Yeah.
So to go off on your star players, you can go off on your younger players. Can Mike Malone recruit and go off on this star player and not risk a backlash? You know, that's going to be the interest. I hear his salary is top 5. So why not? You ain't coaching. I'm already getting my money from here. I might as well go on back and get paid a little bit of money in North Carolina. And he shouldn't have a problem recruiting. I mean, it is North Carolina. You know, he shouldn't have a problem.
You know, I view this hire as, I'm going to call it a sexy hire, right? You know, that's what I view this hire as. I don't view this hire as I'm not going to call it a good hire yet. I get it. Mike Malone has the resume. He's an NBA champion. He's this and that, but it feels like a sexy hire. You know, he hasn't coached in the last year or so. He's not a college coach. And I think Corey brought up a good point. Can he recruit? I don't know. You know, they you know, why North Carolina did this same thing with Belichick. Now Belichick, I think there's a lot more to that than what there is with Mike Malone. I think this is a basketball hire, but I think there is questions about what he can do at the college level. I think it's easier for a pro coach to go to college than it is for a college coach to go to the pros. But I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad hire. I'm not saying it's a great hire. I think it's a middle of the road hire, but I do view it as like a sexy hire. Like, this is a big name for North Carolina. It's not a young coach that could use this opportunity to reestablish North Carolina. And it's not a veteran. It's a big name NBA coach. That's a sexy hire. You know, I didn't expect them to go Mike Malone. I thought a better hire than this would have been Billy Donovan. I think Donovan would have been better for this spot over Mike Malone. I think he's leaving. I think the Bull. I mean, if you look at it, the Bulls just fired their management I think the Bulls are going to redo. I think Bulls are cleaning house, but I think Donovan, it was already rumored by a lot of people in Chicago that he's going to step down anyways after the season's over. So that's just kind of my assumption. He was already in the rumors, and then I think his agent said he wasn't discussing any future plans until his season was done with the Bulls. So in my mind, that made me think, okay, North Carolina definitely wants to talk to him, but they hired Mike Malone a couple days later. So I thought Donovan was going to be a guy in the mix. I didn't expect Mike Malone. I thought Mike Malone was waiting for the next NBA jobs to pop up, but he takes the North Carolina job. So I think it's interesting. I don't think it's a great hire. I don't think it's a bad hire. I think it's just in the middle, but I also think North Carolina went off name value too. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Time would tell. At least North Carolina is not in the boat that the dumb governor of Louisiana has put LSU in. LSU has $75 million in dead money.
Really?
$75 million in dead money that they're playing the AD, a basketball coach, and a football coach. All because the governor wanted this coach back from North Carolina that the AD didn't bring back. He got fired for some scandal or whatever. And the dumb governor, I know Daryl hates when I bring politics in it, but I know who the governor of Louisiana is, and I went to college in Louisiana, so I can talk about him. The dumb governor of Louisiana, yes, Indiana has one too, but the dumb governor of Louisiana right now is messing up. These governors should govern in the state and let these universities do what universities do. That's what they should do. And I'm glad Kelly got fired because I don't like him, and I don't like how he did Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame. People have been saying you've been on the Big Ten, you ain't been on Notre Dame. Yes, I still like Notre Dame, okay? It's in Indiana. It may not be in the Big Ten, so don't count it out.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you talk about teams that, even though they missed the playoffs, they go out and they show why they should have been in, something Notre Dame didn't do. How about Auburn? Missing the national tournament, going into the NIT and showing teams showing the committee why they should have been in March Madness, unlike Notre Dame, who took their ball and went home and then went to the committee and said, if we get a top 12 spot, we should be in where. Instead of whining like babies like Notre Dame did in football, Auburn said, you know what? We're going to pick up the basketball and we're going to go place in the NIT and we're going to show everybody why we should have been in the tournament. So I just want to say, because I didn't talk about it on Sunday, props to Auburn for not being like DeVries and IU and Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. And actually, instead of whining about not being in the tournament, you picked up the basketball and you went out there and you showed why you should have been in the tournament. I can appreciate that.
So I see why you and Daryl get along on the Game Time Network. Because both of you haters always hate on Notre Dame. I've noticed it, and I've been trying to get you on. This is like your third or fourth time going off on Notre Dame.
I will take you can call me a hater of Notre Dame. That one I will accept fully and for sure because I don't like their fan base. Reggie,
I'm a fan.
Reggie, you don't see that side of social media. When IU won the national championship, all Notre Dame could talk about. Guess who was the last team to beat IU? Guess who was the last team to beat IU? That was 2 years ago with a completely different roster. And they're talking about guess who beat IU and how many national championships have they won in the last 2 decades?
So do you get on
how many?
And Alabama Tide fans? Okay, talking all that smack about we're gonna what? Do you get on the SEC football teams when they're talking all that trash?
We've had this debate on this show, and I've said Daryl is very neutral about Notre Dame on the shows. Now, what he is off the shows, that's fine. But every fan base is bad. I admit it. Alabama doesn't.
He's a sheep in sheep's coat. Let me tell you something why Notre Dame wouldn't play in a bowl game unless it's going for a national championship. Notre Dame has recruits who want to prepare for the NFL draft.
Okay.
That's just taking time away. And they probably would have had 10 or 12 or maybe even 15 players that wouldn't have played in that bowl game. Love wouldn't have played in that bowl game. There's a lot of players that would not have played in that bowl game. And if you look at it, I need to figure out where it is, but there's a lot of teams that sat out. I think I want to say it was about 8 to 10 teams that didn't play in a bowl game.
And I don't agree with those teams either for sitting out.
Well, don't call out Notre Dame then. You call out every team then.
Well, this is bias with a little truth. So I'm gonna use my bias and hate on Notre Dame some more, especially for my good friend JB.
Look. JB is my guy. Y'all my guys. But this hate on Notre Dame must come to an end. Yeah, you don't hate on Ohio State. You don't hate on Alabama time.
You know what? I don't hate on them. I don't have an issue with them. But when I have Notre Dame fans on my timeline talking about the last time they beat IU, that's so irrelevant. And then Notre Dame wants to go to the committee and whine about how that they missed the playoff and they missed the playoff. You lost to Miami. You lost to Texas A&M at the start of the season, and then you didn't play nobody for the rest of the year. You didn't have a strong argument. Vanderbilt had a stronger argument than them. Texas kind of had an argument, but not really. Vanderbilt, even if Notre Dame was one of the last teams in, I still think Vanderbilt should have been more considered than them over Notre Dame, because after the 2 games they played against Miami and A&M, they didn't play nobody. And even you can attest to that.
So, in Durrell's word, their arrogant quarterback from Vanderbilt didn't deserve to be there. They didn't deserve season.
I'm not Darrell. I'm not Darrell. I don't care about the quarterback's attitude.
You sitting in for Darrell, so you're gonna feel the wrath.
No. You're not gonna put what he thinks of a person onto me, because I don't care what I don't care what the Vanderbilt quarterback talks about. I'm talking about the team and what they've gone through. And we talk about the SEC and the conference. Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. In the 2 games that mattered to them, that mattered to their schedule and their ability to get into the playoff, they lost. Now, yes, they lost to them in close games, but you still lost. That's what matters at the end of the day.
Look, every school complains. Alabama uses Nick Saban to complain about whatever they want to complain about. That's probably why the SEC, who says they've been the number 1 since the beginning of football, wants to break off from NCAA and form their own conference and get their own money. Bug the SEC. Next, coach from Arkansas left Kentucky.
Calipari.
He's crying about things need to change. He done got paid $1 billion by Kentucky, and he's crying. So teams cry.
I agree.
NBA players cry to the refs about calls.
Yep.
Coaches cry all the time. So don't just put it like Notre Dame's crying to the selection committee to
Reggie,
get on here.
Well, Reggie, the show's only an hour. I can't go out and just call out everybody. So I can't, I'm not paying attention to everybody. I pay attention to what pops up on my social media feed. What popped up on my social media feed when IU was celebrating their national championship was a bunch of salty South Bend Notre Dame fans that haven't seen success in the last decades or so. Because every time they get to a national championship, they poop their pants. They don't know what to do. They got blown out by Alabama in the semis. They got blown out by by Ohio State and Clemson, respectively. Then they finally get to the national championship, and Ohio State did exactly what I thought they were going to do. I won $15 that night because I knew Notre Dame wasn't going to win the big one. Because you know what? Notre Dame is the Dallas Cowboys of college football, and they're just like Purdue basketball is the Notre Dame football of his. You get what I'm saying?
You are really on one.
You are really on. We still got to talk about the Colts today too, because I know you saw what I said. I know what you saw when I said about the Colts on Sunday.
Refresh my memory that you love Luck and everything, and
so we were talking about Luck, and I think you called D-Cod a hater on the Colts. And then I jumped in.
I call a spade a spade.
I jumped in and I said, you know what? I'm gonna hate on the Colts too, because Reggie, I work at Kroger, right? And so I get a general consensus of what the state thinks of these teams, right? What have the Colts done in the last 10 years?
They haven't did anything.
They haven't done nothing, right? And you know what people, and I ask people, what do they think of the Pacers, right? You know what they think of that finals run? They think it was a 1-year ruse. They think
not the people that I talk to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's so many, but when I ask people about the Colts, we'll be back. We'll be back. I don't understand the pass that we give this organization in the state compared to the short patience that we give the Pacers. It's crazy to me because when you look over the course of a 10-year span, the Pacers have been better run by compared to the Colts for about a decade now, maybe even more than that. But people have these, I don't know, people have patience on the Colts for some reason. But then when we talk about the Pacers, nobody has patience for the Pacers.
Teams go through ups and downs.
I understand.
Look how long OKC sucked. They were good, then they sucked, then they were good. Look at the Knicks. They were good, then they suck, then they're good again.
But is it okay?
Look, teams suck.
Is it okay to be bad if you have a direction?
You're gonna be. The Colts are gonna be okay, but injuries also play a role in certain things. Okay, just like your Lakers are the walking wounded right now. Injuries play a role.
Yeah,
injuries play a role. But you know what? Before I go any farther, I know Daryl cheers for 10 NFL teams. Who is your team? Your family was at the live that we had.
You see the flag back there?
Oh my goodness, Cowboys.
Yeah.
So I see why you want to put the Notre Dames and Colts in the same category as the Cowboys. Okay. I understand that. Everybody has old rings. I understand.
No, listen, when I'm serious, when I say this about the Colts, it's not that I hate the Colts. It's not that I don't dislike. I mean, look right here. I got 2 Colts coats that I wear all the time. I've got a Reggie Wayne jersey. I always have a Reggie Wayne jersey. When I grow out of my Reggie Wayne jersey, I go and get another one. I'm not a Colts fan, but I do love the Colts because they're my hometown team. But I'm calling it like it is. When we look at this organization, the direction has felt nothing but there's been no direction, right? I mean, I don't even want to discuss the Anthony Richardson thing because you mismanaged him. You can't pull and play a guy and expect him to get better. The Panthers are a great example of playing someone, and then if you're deciding to sit him, actually sit him, and then when you think you're ready, put him back in. The Colts kept doing this play him or we play him and don't play him thing, and now we're blaming him when it's really on the organization. Not to mention,
I'm not blaming him. People are blaming him, but I think blame goes equally. He should have worked on his craft more. But if you look at it, the Colts did fumble it. Teams do fumble players. Yeah. Look at the Bears. They fumble Fields. You know, they got Williams and they almost fumble him. Luckily, they got the coach from Detroit. So teams will every now and then fumble a player. But the Colts are going to get a pass.
But is it
Indianapolis?
No. We've given them the pass for the last.
No, they're going to get a pass because the Colts, Peyton Manning's statue in front of Lucas Oil grew.
But we're giving
football in the
that's
state
fine.
Of
that's
Indiana.
Fine. But we're gonna give them a pass for a Super Bowl that was won 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense because you're going to be the same person that talks about my Lakers, and then if I give them a pass, it's not okay. But I'm saying we shouldn't give the Colts a pass, but we should give the Colts a pass.
Hey, you give your Cowboys a pass.
Whoa.
40 years.
Whoa.
Their last Super Bowl is on VHS.
You have not been watching.
Super Bowl is on VHS.
You haven't been watching VHS. You haven't been watching the show. I've said my relationship with the Cowboys is at the point of divorce, but I'm still hanging in there trying to save our relationship for the sake of the kids. But so I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm not the type of Cowboys fan that says, oh, we're going to win it every other year. At the start of the year, you know what I said? I said we need to trade Dak Prescott. I said I want everybody gone other than CeeDee Lamb. I was so against the Cowboys. You wouldn't have believed that I'm a Cowboys fan because you know what? I don't have patience to deal with an organization that isn't willing to change. And we can talk about the Lakers and their mess ups and whatever, but at some point they got back on the way of success. So let's call it like it is on that. Look, the Cowboys have not found any success, just like the Colts, because you know why? When you don't put any direction on anything, it's not going to work out.
Don't agree with him. Don't agree with that young man, Corey. Don't agree with him. He's totally wrong.
I'm not wrong.
The Lakers haven't found success because that bubble ring don't count.
Here we go.
Magic Johnson and Pat Riley are not coming back to save the Lakers. Troy Aikman.
I don't want Pat Riley to come back. He's got his own show to deal with.
To save the Cowboys. So it is what it is.
That's fine. Peyton Manning's not coming back to save the Colts.
True. but I'm a realist.
So why are we hold on? So why are we giving a pass to the Colts because of Peyton Manning's statue?
No, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, I understand that it takes time. Young guys like you, young fans like you, that guy should win something every 2 or 3 years.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
It doesn't happen.
What I'm saying is, when you're going through when it's like a carousel, we've gone through quarterbacks like a carousel at this point. From 2018 to now, we probably had over 15 different quarterbacks take a snap over the last 8 years. Is that not something we need to call out? Because let's keep in mind, we've called out, we've talked about the Browns in this situation. We've talked about multiple teams and organizations that haven't been able to find a quarterback.
True.
So I'm not giving the Colts a pass when you drafted a quarterback at pick number 4. And I admit there's issues on both sides. There's issues with Richardson, but there's also issue on management and the coach for the fact that you kept pulling and playing him. And I also agree that general manager has overstayed his welcome as well.
So, how many quarterbacks has the Dallas Cowboys had since Troy Aikman?
2. Or wait, hold on. I'd have to think. Sorry, my bad. You got to remember.
Just a quick question.
I'll search it up.
Is it a 3 or 4?
There was a point in the 2000s where before we got to Romo, it was a good rotation of quarterbacks.
Okay, so did that get the Cowboys another ring?
No, it didn't get them another ring. They still don't have a ring.
Okay, but the Cowboys can get a all across my timeline. Good argument. This is our year.
And you know what?
Cowboy fans get on my timeline and say, "This is our year."
Fair enough.
I laugh.
Fair enough. And you know what? I do the same thing with Colts fans, because that's all I've heard the last couple of years is every quarterback that's come through the door, other than Richardson, they seem to very much support, but there was no support for Richardson. There was a lot of hate on Richardson from what I saw.
The fan base, when he tapped his head and came out, I really think
I think a lot of people lost respect for him.
Yeah, but I think he had got the wind knocked out of him, and he didn't want to report another injury. His problem is he hasn't played enough football. He should have sat the year. I blame Steichen and Ballard and Irsay for throwing him in there. The reason Ballard's still here is because the young lady is comfortable with Ballard, and she's going to defer to him. But she's going to have him on a short string this year. I actually wanted him gone last year, but the way Daniels played give him a pass. I know everybody else is giving him a pass, but I gave him a pass.
No, I somewhat give Ballard, like I said it when all this happened. I honestly did think Ballard should have been gone this offseason, but I knew it was probably not going to happen just for the simple fact that, yes, when Jones got hurt, they were above 500. They were in the lead for the division. I get all that. But do you think Jones is going to come back the same player? That's what I'm curious about. Well, actually, I'll let you finish and then I'll ask my other question.
I think it's going to take time. I think what's going to happen is, unless the Colts cut Richardson, he's going to compete for the starting lineup. I just think that Daniels, I give him to the 4th week. That's a serious injury, and you don't want to rush it and move it back. I heard Tyrese say that he got up there and played 5-on-5, and he told Ben Mathurin to go at him because he thought he was ready, and he figured out real fast he wasn't ready. I think Daniels is going to have a rude awakening. He's going to figure out that he's not ready. So I think what's going to happen is the coach would like to trade Richardson and get him off, and I think he's going to go somewhere else and be a better quarterback. But I think what's going to happen is everybody knows you're trying to get rid of him. Why am I going to trade draft picks for him? Yeah. You're going to cut him. If the coach don't cut him, they need to let him play out this year, play those 4 games. That may increase his trade value. Then they may be able to get something for him. Yeah. I hate that we're giving up on that young man because I think eventually he's going to be a great quarterback. I think he's grown now. He's 22 years old. I think we gave him the reins at 19. He only played 13 games in college. Yeah. You know? Peyton Manning came in and led the league in interception, and that's a record that still stands. Quarterback is the hardest position in the NFL. So I blame the coach and I blame Richardson. I sure do.
No,
But
I
I'm still
agree. Yeah, but that,
Coach Strong.
and it's not that I don't. It's not that I don't. I'm not hating on the Colts, but I'm calling it like it is. Like we can't give a pass to the Colts and but we don't give a pass to the Pacers, and people are calling the Pacers, oh, it was a 1-year ruse, da 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 da. They're just like, you compare the last 10 years, it's not even close. And I just think, we're giving all these passes to the Indianapolis Colts. My other question for you, Reggie, is how great do you think Alex Pierce can be? Because I didn't view him as better than Pittman, but I've had people tell me that Pittman was getting worse and that Pierce is getting better, and that they think Pierce is really going to become a wide receiver one. I don't really believe that, so I'm curious what you think.
Pierce, has gotten better. He's grown every year.
I agree.
He's starting to run the full route tree now. He understands how to get open, and he's going to catch those 50-50 balls. Pittman was going to come across the middle. Pittman didn't necessarily have the speed to go long to win, but he will win you some 50-50 balls. I think Pittman's problem last year was he had some injuries. Pittman was very durable, and he would play hurt. There was a couple of games that I didn't think he would play, and I was surprised that he played. So I'm not saying – to me, they have different specialties. Pittman across the middle, he's going to catch the ball. Alex Pierce long. But Alex Pierce is now going to start running that longer route, that longer curl in and curl back. But you still got Josh Downs, and you still have the tight end Warren. So I think our receiving core – people are worried about the coach receiving core. I'm not worried about the coach receiving core. I'm more worried about the coach quarterback situation right now. And yes, I'm giving the coach a pass. I don't care if the Hammy Bears do come. I would never cheer for them Bears. I would never cheer for them bums. I'll be a Homer, Indiana guy, but I won't cheer for the transplant of the Bears moving here. Bug them. But yeah, all fan bases give teams. The Pacers are getting a pass to the fans because they still have a lot of fans coming to the games, and they've been out of playoff contention for a long time. So yes, the Pacers are getting a pass. I don't know what youngsters you're talking to about the Pacers not getting.
No, it's not youngsters. It's all around age. It's everybody that I talk to. People will be like, "Oh yeah, Colts will be back next year," and then I ask them about the Pacers, and they're like, "Ah, they just suck like they always do." And I'm like, "What?
No,
like,
no."
And
Those are people that don't understand sports. Those are people that don't understand that the Pacers had half of the Noblesville boom on the team starting at one time. Those are people that don't realize the Pacers have had 5, maybe 6 emergency 10-day contracts just to get enough players on the court to play. I know injuries are a part of the game. I know other teams have had injuries, but there's maybe only 1 or 2 other teams that have had the same amount of injuries as the Pacers this year. So they both can pass it on me, but I am Homer, Indiana. Who am I to speak? So yeah.
All right, Reggie, I am gonna we got about 20 more minutes left here in the show. I'm gonna pull up the NBA standings for us. We'll kind of break these down. We talked about them on Sunday's show as well.
So I guess you didn't hear what happened last night.
I did not. What happened? With Wemby?
With Wemby.
Yeah, I think
it's 20 minutes to be eligible for postseason awards. He needs 20 minutes in one game. Yes.
I
think they've already ruled him out on the next game.
I think he'll be all right. I think he'll bounce back at some point. Looking at the standings, we'll start in the East. And we talked about this on Sunday, Reggie, and you're an avid watcher of the show on Sunday. 2 weeks ago, if you remember, I said things could get a little crazy, and I think we'll see some movement. Some of the biggest movement is the Hornets jumped from 10 to 8th, and the Hawks jumped the Raptors for 5th. 76ers are in 7th, and you got the 2 mediocre Florida teams down in 9th and 10th. I want to get your thoughts on the standings in the East. What is your thoughts on the Hawks moving up to 5th?
Evidently, the trade has worked out for them. They're playing a lot better ball. It seems like this late. They're 7-3 in the last 10 games. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Their losing streak is only 1. I'm not surprised of anything that you said. Even with the Hornets, the Hornets have been playing pretty good ball. I don't think Flag should be the Rookie of the year. I will have to give it to that young man out of Hornets. Yes, a lot of people are going to want Flags to get it because he scored 51 the other day.
I think it's close. I think either way it goes, I think either of them deserve it. I don't know if there's really I'm not really on either side of the fence. I think both guys deserve it. Obviously I think Khan, if you had to make me pick, I'd probably say Khan just for where the Hornets are at. Like, he's a major part of that. Him, Miller, and LaMelo Ball, I think all three of them have been a major part as to why the Hornets are seeing success this year.
I think a little bit too is on Ball. He's starting to trust his teammates now a little bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to carry the load on his own. This is a team sport. So I am impressed with that young man, even though Daryl doesn't like the young man. I am impressed with what he's bringing to the table. I told Daryl that I wasn't a believer in the Cavs, and you and Ramon and
No. You said you are a believer in the Cavs.
Yeah. Y'all aren't believers in the
I'm
Cavs.
not a believer. No, not at all.
You're not believing in Harden.
Me and Ramon aren't believers. Daryl doesn't really see why we're hating on the Cavs so much.
Daryl doesn't like the Cavs either.
No. I'm not. Look, I'm not. I will defend my co-host. He hasn't been.
Man, he ain't worth defending. He lies, man. When it comes to sports, he has 10 NFL teams. How are you going to defend a man that got 10 NFL teams? And that's my bias with some truth.
He's been impartial about the Cavs. He's not a homer, and he hasn't hated on them. Me and Ramon have both said there. With James Harden on that team, you've got a ceiling, and you're not going far.
The Cavs and Boston, I'm not a believer in the one Pistons. I'm not a believer in Scott Nichols' Pistons, even before Cunningham got hurt. I just don't believe.
You know what? And I kind of felt that way too. But with the way the Pistons have played without Cade has made me turn the corner a little bit. I still think they're the second best team in the East. I think Boston is first, but I think I'm not giving Detroit as much. I don't think we're not giving Detroit enough credit, because the question was, can this team go without Cade, right? And I think we've gotten a good sample size now of what they can do without Cade. I mean, look, the eye test is right there for you. Jalen Duren has stepped up. The rest of the team has stepped up without Cade Cunningham, and now, this team has had the chance to play without Cade and, kind of figure out what they can do without Cade Cunningham. And now you're going to add Cade back into the fold. I really do think we're not giving Detroit enough credit. Now, I'm not saying they are going to win the East or they're going to win the Eastern Conference Finals. I do think
Daryl picked them.
Daryl still picked them. But I don't think that's a horrid argument. I'm not saying it just because he says that doesn't mean it's, I don't think it's not true. If you told me Detroit is the winner of the Eastern Conference, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just saying right now, I think if you want someone that has the best shot against the San Antonio Spurs or the Thunder, I would say the Celtics because of experience. But that's not to say
let me tell you how confident I am.
Detroit learned a lot from that New York series last year, and I think they'll carry that into this year's playoffs.
Let me tell you how confident I am that they won't come out the East.
I don't think they will either.
If the Pistons come out the East, I will wear either an Alabama Tide hat or a Dallas Cowboy hat on the show.
I think
I will do that.
You guys in the Crossroad guys give my co-host a lot of hate on that on Alabama. So I'm gonna say I'll say Alabama hat just because I know that'll make Daryl happy.
If the Pistons come out of the East, maybe I will wear an Alabama Tide hat on the show. You got it. You heard it
for a month.
One show.
No. For hold on. Can we
one show?
Can we do two shows just in case I can't be there for the one show?
Two shows.
There you go.
Two shows.
Two shows.
That's how confident I am.
You know what? Maybe I gotta start rooting for Detroit now. I don't know.
No. Boston and the Cavs are. And you know what? The Cavs have been getting embarrassed by the Pacers the last 2 years.
Cavs may not even get out of
but
the
first round. They're going to get out of the first round. But the Cavs didn't have Harding. In spite of working, they toyed with the Pacers, even though the Pacers once again said a lot of people, keep doing that, Pacers. We need that number 1 draft. Keep sitting people. Don't bring them back.
Yeah.
But the Pacers had like a 14 or 15-point lead. And then next thing you know, Spider and the Beard took off, and it was a runaway win. So I think that those two are working well together. And I could see the Cavs. I could see them coming out the East, either the Cavs or Boston. I just don't think the Knicks are really that. I mean, it's the Knicks. You know, it's one of the Pacers' rivalries. I know Corey's going to be mad at me. I just don't think that the Knicks will come out of the East.
No, New York's interesting, right? Because I think there's a shot. They've got the roster to do it. I don't know. Like when I look at Boston and Detroit, those are the two teams I'm the most confident in to come out of the East.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the Knicks, I have concerns, really because of their coach, and then just what I saw last year. When I look at Cleveland, it's James Harden. It's James Harden. Other than that, we'll see what happens. And their ability to stay healthy, which that's why you traded Garland to get James Harden, but Harden in the biggest moments of the playoffs doesn't seem to perform. Now the workload kind of comes off his shoulders in Cleveland because you've got Donovan Mitchell there, and you've got two great defensive players in Mobley and Allen, and Mobley's gotten better offensively. So maybe I like Cleveland a little more than New York, but I also believe you look at Atlanta, you look at Toronto, you look at Philadelphia, and you look at the Hornets and the Magic. You look at 5 through 9, Reggie. I think all those teams can give a problem to the top 4 in the East. Now, I'm not saying that they win a series, but what I do think is that the first round is going to be very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if in the first round in the Eastern Conference that we see all of these rounds go to about 5 or 6 games. I don't think we see a sweep in the first round in the East this year. I think we'll see at minimum 5 games, but I say 3 of the 4 series will go to 6 games. I think one of them may go to 5 games, but I think the other 3 go to 6 games because we've talked about the Hornets, right? And how hot they've been. 8-2. The Sixers, if the Sixers are healthy, we know what they can do. I think they can disrupt one of the top 4 teams in the East. And then Atlanta, not the greatest offensive team, but defensively, Dyson Daniels, really good defensive guard. Jalen Johnson, really good defensive player. Onyeka Okongwu, one of my personal most underrated players in the NBA. And then you look at the Raptors are also playing really well. Those teams 5 through 9, whoever gets into the playoffs in those spots, I think there's a real shot that one of those teams 1 through 4 isn't getting to the second round. And I don't think it'll be Detroit or Boston. I think New York or Cleveland, one of them is going to get knocked off by one of the 5 through 8 teams.
Well, time will tell. I will agree that the Hornets look like one of the lower seeds that has a chance to really make some noise. I'm not really overly impressed with the Heat or the Magic.
Well, that's why I didn't mention the Heat. I said 5 through 9. I'm not even worried about the Heat.
I think the Magic have had a lot of injuries throughout the years too. That has hurt their record somewhat. But I'm impressed that they're still in a playoff contention. I just don't think that they're going to have enough gas. The Magic should be playing a lot better with the roster that they have. Well, it'd be interesting to see what they do after this season with that roster.
I've been talking about it. And somebody brought it up on TikTok, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's been saying this. Paulo Banchero, for some reason, wants to be Carmelo Anthony or Kevin Durant when he could be Giannis or LeBron. Like, I wish he would stop shooting the ball so much. Take it to the bucket, get fouled, or you've got the strength, you've got the ability to do that. But he wants to take these mid-ranges and these three-pointers. It's like, that's not what this roster's built for you to do. That's why you've got Franz and Suggs and Desmond Bain drive and kick. Like, that's the type of player you should be. And I think if he played more like that, maybe the Magic are a top 5 team in the East this year, but they're not. They're going to be fighting to get into the play-in or fighting to get into the playoffs.
Well, we also know that the playoffs bring out different monsters. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what's going to go on. So,
it definitely will. East is going to be interesting. And as we get down to the end of the show here, we'll switch over to the West. And like I predicted on Sunday night, I said I think the Lakers were probably going to drop, and I think they'll continue to drop. They won't.
I didn't realize the Lakers' record was that good. Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty good all year. I expect them to drop to 5th. I really hope they don't drop to 6th, but I hope we play the Rockets. LeBron versus KD. It'll be a good matchup.
It would be a horrible matchup because the Rockets don't have their point guard. That's been the Rockets' problem all year. They hadn't had Van Fleet, so that's been their problem the whole year. But maybe they step it up in the playoffs. It's to see.
I think the Rockets will beat the Lakers. It depends if the Lakers are healthy, but I'm about 80% confident that the Lakers aren't going to be healthy. That's just kind of where I'm at. Rockets will probably win that series undeservingly, in my opinion. I think we would, if we were fully healthy, I think we would have beat the Rockets in maybe 5 games. But that's just me. We're gonna see what happens. I mean, if the playoffs started today, Reggie, man, Nuggets Timberwolves, that's gonna be a great series. That will be.
You're a big fan of the Timberwolves. I'm not a big fan of them.
I think Ant's a playoff riser. Ant is a playoff riser.
I mean, they're playing the Pacers right now. They're up 12-7 in the first quarter. 7 minutes left in the first quarter.
One of our ticket winners is there tonight.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, one of our ticket winners is there tonight. Yeah.
But I'm not overly impressed with Minnesota. I was last year with their playoff run and everything, and Ant does step up to the moment. But I just don't see it with them. Now, I've said all year that the cream of the crop, and the people throw the Nuggets in there and the Lakers in there. I've said the only 2 teams you need to think about are the Timberwolves and the Spurs.
And I picked
the Thunder, yes, the Thunder. But I picked the Spurs all year to come out the West. With this Wemby injuries are a factor. Scott Nichols, he's gonna say, I always say next man up. But how do you replace a Wemby? There is no next man up. I don't like the next man up argument, especially when you're losing Wemby. I agree with you. I think the Nuggets, to an extent, I would throw in there, but I agree with you on that. I agree with you. It's 2 teams. But the Nuggets, to an extent, could definitely be in the mix. Like, do you agree with that? I agree with you, and I would love to see the Clippers. And I don't like the Clippers, but I like Ben Mathurin. So I would love to see them. But I noticed now that, and people have said they don't wonder if Zubac is going to work for the Pacers. He will work.
He will.
If you notice, the Clippers rebounding has gotten worse since they don't have the big wide body in the middle anymore. Yeah. So that may be what the downfall to the Clippers rebounding.
I think the Clippers
don't have enough offense.
I think the Clippers will give the Thunder some issues. I don't know if they'll get a game off them, but I think the Clippers can give the Thunder issues, but I still think the Thunder could sweep them. Same way I think the Spurs can sweep the Suns. Like I said, if I'm an NBA casual, if an NBA casual asks me what playoff series should I watch, I would say watch Nuggets Timberwolves, and then after that, don't watch any of the Western first round. But then watch everything in the East.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Go ahead.
Or is Luka and AR Rivers out for the rest of the season, or are they coming back for the playoffs?
It's unknown. So I know they're out for the remainder of the regular season, but the playoffs is undecided. I know Luka went overseas. He went back to Europe to try to rush up his treatment, which I don't like to hear. He
went to get stem cells like DeForest Buckner. Stem cells.
If you're not going to be 100%, don't risk getting hurt and then ruining next year. Like, that's really where I'm at. Like, we're not. I've said all year, and you can credit me for this, or this. I've said all year we're not a contender. I think we had the ability to get out of the first round, but there's no reason to rush back to be a second round exit. I said, and I've said this all year about the Spurs. Your best bet about beating the Spurs is their lack of playoff experience. But that's a really horrible basis to say, oh, we could beat this team. Like, that's a horrid argument to say, oh, well, they don't got no playoff experience. Well, they're 60-19. Wemby is the face of the league now. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, we can beat the Spurs off because we have more playoff experience. That's a really dumb argument. So I'm not going to say that. But I maybe we play if we're healthy, we give the Spurs a 6-game series, maybe. But I think at best we probably get swept. I do think we could have beaten the Rockets or the Timberwolves in the first round this year, but more so the Rockets. But at this point, just shut them down for the rest of the season. Shut Bron down for the rest of the season. Let's get to the offseason. Let's get LeBron off our books, and let's start building this roster for next year. I don't care.
You're going to be highly disappointed when James isn't off that roster.
He's either going to Cleveland, Golden State, or Memphis, because I know he loves Memphis so much.
He's not going anywhere. I mean, he even said he don't want to go back to Akron sometime. But I give your Lakers a little bit of props. The times I've watched them, I've wanted them to lose, and they tend to win. And you know what, man? I don't think I give one guy enough credit.
Who's
Austin Rivers, man.
Austin Reeves.
Reeves. Yeah, I don't know why I keep calling Rivers. I got Milwaukee on him. Reeves, man, he reminds me of a poor man's Larry Bird because he moves slow, but he's so very efficient when he's in there. If he had a better defensive game, well, that's half the problem. Him and Luka don't play good enough defense. But I've been impressed with him, and I hate the fakers. I mean, the Lakers. I hate it. And to see y'all at 4th, I hope y'all get beat in the first round. So I'll say it.
Well, if we get beat in the first round, there's a huge asterisk around that. Because Kevin Durant and he can't lead his own team to a championship, so he'll get outed in the he'll get outed in the next round. It's all right. I was gonna be excited if we could personally knock Kevin Durant out of the first round, and I could say, oh, look at that, KD's out of the first round again. But you know what? I'll be fine with watching him get outed in the second round. That'll make my heart smile just as much, because then me and Daryl can get back on the show, and I can say, well, Kevin Durant once again fails to lead his team to a championship post Golden State.
Hey man, first of all, Daryl has you fooled. You think he's an unbiased co-host? Daryl is very biased on a lot of things.
He is biased on a lot of things, but what I think you guys come after him for the Alabama bias, which I just before the show, yeah, maybe he was way more biased about it, but since I've worked with him on the show, his bias about Alabama and the bias that you guys claim he hasn't been as strong as you guys think it is. Just like you guys think my bias for the Lakers is there, when I've been the most realistic Laker fan in the history of the universe, in my opinion.
Well, you surprised me saying that you want James out, and you have been a little surprising. But typically,
even my
Laker
Cowboys,
Laker fans are like Cowboy fans. Well, I shouldn't say Laker fan. There's a difference between a Lakers fan and a James fan.
Yep. And a Kobe fan.
James fans have messed up every team that James has went to.
I agree. I'll give you that one.
They have messed up every team. I've never been a Lakers fan, Yep. I mean, my favorite move, I used to care. Well, people like players now. So I used to like Dr. J.
Okay.
And one of my favorite moves was Dr. J's rocking the cradle, going up under the board. And that's one of the favorite moves of all time, But the only thing I like about LA is the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
No, it definitely will be. What a show. I always enjoy doing Bias with the Little Truth, subbing in for D. Cott. I had a great time doing the show. We've got plenty of other content on the channel, folks. Go check out our conversation about Andrew Luck. I posted that segment earlier today. I've got another segment coming out tomorrow where we talk about the Dawn Staley Geno stuff.
Hold on real quick. Dawn Staley put out she talked to Geno, and she wants all this to go away. She said she gave Geno props, said he has did a lot for women's basketball, and she just wants this to go away. It was a misunderstanding, and misunderstandings happen.
There you go. I agree with that. Folks, real quick, once again, we had people ask us on Saturday night, where can we get merch? Well, if you go to our website, GameTimeNetwork.org, you can scroll all the way down, and we've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, and we've got sweatshirts. And if I want to get myself a Game Time hoodie, you can pick what logo you want on there. You want the Game Time Network logo? You want the After Hours logo? I think that's personally the best logo we've got here on the show, to be honest. We've got that one. We've got Reggie's favorite logo, Cott's Corner, with his favorite person on there, Daryl. We got the Game Time Live logo. I'll have to talk to our guy because we need to get the Bias with the Little Truth logo on there as well.
Oh, yes.
So we definitely
that's in the works. That's definitely in the works.
Yeah, so we're going to get that updated, folks. Once again, congratulations to everybody that won a shirt or won the tickets at our Bigsy event on Saturday night. Reggie had a great spot on the show where he was talking about Bias with the Little Truth and promoting that for us. So I appreciate all the love and support. And Reggie, I appreciate you kind of joining the Game Time family. And, this is one of the best shows of the week. I say it, with Game Time Live on Sundays, and then we've got this midweek show to help kind of balance things out. So I appreciate you for sure.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all inviting me into the house. I mean, I've always loved talking sports. I know you're a good friend of Tornado, and he's a smart guy, and you're a smart guy. It was a pleasure to meet your parents and the rest of the Sorry Cowboy your family. It was a pleasure to meet the rest of your family. My bad. I mean,
you're all good.
But you're a great young man, and you're a very knowledgeable young man. And you have excellent points. Keep up the work.
There we go. I appreciate it, Reggie. Other than that Cavalier stuff that you keep talking about, I think we're gonna be all right. I can handle a little Lakers slander because even I slander the Lakers here and there as well. But folks, that's gonna do it. We'll be back next week for another episode of Bias with the Little Truth, presented by the Game Time Network. We'll see you guys soon.
Deuces.